What up, my freaks? RuinusInsight here with part, I want to say, 84 of my Total Warhammer 3 modded Kroq-Gar campaign. So as we saw last time, Copperhead had himself a lovely little battle against Erithar Cain Marked, though the latter did book it on out of there on his black dragons, that he did not get destroyed like the rest of their army, or his army I should say. And their choke point, it was a choke point battle rather, and the enemy unfortunately for them failed to make good enough use of it. In terms of what we gotta do this time around, I was deliberating last episode whether we do this attack here at the Skull Carver's abode, and at the end of the day, regardless of what I think, and the fact that the enemy's army had turned out to be a little bit stronger, a little bit better than I was hoping for, I think we don't actually have much of a choice but to attack. And the reason for that is the fact that, well, even if we back off, all that will happen is, well, we'll not be able to get back to Xhotl tracks, we'll be in attrition territory, and these guys have that teleportation ambush stance, so basically we're screwed. And we have to attack, and ideally we have to win. It's a do or die moment for this army, I suppose, so well, they're going to do, or they're going to die right now. Alrighty, Pyrrhic Victory, we do have a few of these banners to apply. The Banner of Swiftness, I guess we're going to pop on the Amexon Barb, Gleaming Pennant probably on one of the Saurus, one of the central Saurus, to essentially transfer that to the other Saurus. And then lastly, the Scarecrow banner. The enemy does have flyers. You know what, let's put that on another unit of Saurus as well, or possibly even on our Slan. Yeah, you know what, let's put it on our Slan. And just in case the enemy tries to charge those Screamers, or perhaps even the Lord of Change at our units. Ooh, what we could do is we could probably give you a Pigeon Plucker pendant. I don't actually know if we have a spare. Ah, screw it. Let's just go with that. I don't want to go digging through all of our items just to try to find something. Whether we can win this remains to be seen, because this army is rather weak. But I guess we have no choice but to give it a try, so here we go. Alrighty, here we go. This should be a pretty interesting one, and the question is, can we actually win it with this army in particular? It's an odd army, and, well, the enemy has a numbers advantage as well. We'll give it a try. The biggest advantage we have is the fact that we have a Slan Mage of Life, so as long as we have healing capacity between our two Reviv Crystals and the Slan, everything should be topped up for quite a while. Anyway, we're going to start the battle off with having the Razordons knock out the first of the enemy towers, and man, that took a long time. 50 seconds straight of them attacking the tower, huh? And it looks like Razordons are actually pretty damn terrible at attacking towers. Not to worry, Razordons are not the only thing that we have, as our Dwarven allies have allowed us to recruit those Iron Drakes, and this is the army with them. And considering the sheer number of enemy spawn of Tzeentch in this particular battle, and we should be able to put them to some decent use. I believe there was also a Lord of Change in there. Yeah, there he is, flying around up there, so we'll have to deal with that as well. Anyway, we have begun to move up the ramp very, very slowly, just keeping our units of Iron Drakes in position. They don't have crazy range, but they can at least do some damage. We're also going to start annoying the enemy on the side here, but this will be where the main assault really happens. Our Amexon Barb has just moved in and actually knocked out a few of the enemies there. In fact, let's see, how much damage did it do? Only about 1,300, not all that much, but any enemies that move in to support it will get hit by the Razordons, and 2 units of Razordons causing bleed to a relatively fragile unit, like Pink Horrors, once their barrier is down. Should be pretty good. Bleed and lethal poison, I should say, out of the big boy there. So yeah, get a few more volleys in there and this unit will die. if we can whittle them down in this manner, it won't really cost us much, so hopefully we can repeat the process, though one of the enemy towers is attacking these guys. How we doing up here? And ooh, looks like the enemy has, they've gotten upsetty about all this and have surged out of their settlement as soon as the barricade went down. That does mean a lot of those monstrous infantry units, the Chaos Spawn, working together with Forsaken, which is appropriate. But we do have the Basties healing each other, and on top of that, all of our Iron Drakes and Razordons. Now, obviously, both the Iron Drakes and Razordons are very much a threat to our own units, so we popped Vissen's Wild Form and Pan's Impenetrable Pelt on these Saurus spears with shields, giving them 62 armor, which is not crazy, but that counteracts the Sundered armor that they have, and then 30% missile, 10% physical, and 20% ward save should keep them at least reasonably safe, on top of the double healing that we get from the Reeve of Crystals and from the Slan Mage Priest of Life. Alright, come on, looking fairly good still, and the enemies are having a tough time breaking through. It's almost like they're the ones assaulting a city that we're defending, but we gotta take this ramp. Gotta take this ramp so we can capture this capture point. And ooh, I noticed that there is a Soul Grinder of Tzeentch out here as well, but fortunately, this is something our Iron Drakes are pretty adept at. Knocking out those large units with those Trollhammer torpedoes. Soul Grinder Hammer, maybe. Slight variant. Or Spawn Grinder, perhaps, since we'll be mostly using them against Spawn. Down goes the Soul Grinder. They did not get a lot of value out of that, which is great, and we still hold the top of the ramp, sort of, by the looks of it, or at least near the top of the ramp. And the Saurus Spears that were in the melee contest and getting hit by our own range units are still more or less fine, so this strategy so far is paying off. As long as the enemy doesn't concentrate its units too much, we're still looking okay. That we can see in the background overhead those Tzeentchian units flying around, all those Screamers and Furies and the Lord of Change, and I think they had a Doom Knight unit in here, or did they not? I don't remember. Or is it just a bunch of Screamers? Yeah, it looks like a bunch of Screamers. Well, we'll see what they can get up to with them. And ooh, look at that. On this side, we have some Forsaken of Tzeentch who actually sallied out. Unfortunately, at 50 run speed, they're not going to be able to catch our Razordons, which means they will get hit from various sides by the Razordons, and said Razordons can simply back off. We can try to bait them into attacking the Saurus Spears as well and allow the Razordons to continue hitting them, or just continue backing off while we rip them apart. Alrighty, well, these guys are screwed because they can't do anything, and they will just be slowly bled to death. Ooh, one of our units of Razordon hunting packs did get a little bit damaged here, getting focused down by the enemy tower and the pink horrors, but not a big deal. We can simply back off, and the main fight is, after all, still out here. Look at all those monstrous infantry. That's a massive pile of Spawn, but once again, this is what the Trollhammer torpedoes are for. They're gonna arc up above our units and right into that massive pile of Spawn. But man, if those guys break through, they will absolutely rip our poor Iron Drakes apart, so we have to continue holding. Let's see, our Saurus Spears are nearing to half HP now, and we still have to be worried about that Sundered armor. Looks like the Lord of Change has come down, both to the Harpies and the Furies, rather, and the Screamers, and rather than going after our Reeve of Crystal, or I think it's going after our Reeve of Crystal. I think it tried going after our Slam, but it didn't quite work. That's okay, though. We're going to pop buffs on everybody. Phos protection upgraded, melee defense up by 40 for everybody, and doubling up on the damage resistance from Pan's Impenetrable Pelt and the Phos protection, meaning everybody around this area gets a 35% ward save on top of their normal stats. So while this is happening, this enemy assault is doomed to fail as long as we have those buffs up for the 30 or 40 seconds of the duration. Alrighty, actually it turned out to be a pretty darn interesting battle, I gotta say. It's, once again, I've made this comment already, but it's kind of like a reverse siege sort of thing, and since I do find these minor settlement sieges where you're the one defending pretty darn fun and interesting on occasion, it's nice to see it here. Anyway, just like that Soul Grinder got focused down by those Iron Drakes, the enemy Lord of Change will do so as well. Looks like it's down to a relative sliver of HP, and both the Razordons and the Iron Drakes will bring it down. Our big boys are also still holding, our Reviv Crystals, I mean, and they have not yet reached their healing caps, and the Slan Mage is fine as well. Our first unit of Saurus Spears has actually reached its healing cap at this point, and has dropped to nearly half of its units, so we're going to replace it with another unit of Saurus Spears, but we're looking a lot better than we were before. The bounce power is still in the enemy's favor, mind you, but that's just by virtue of the sheer number of enemy units they have, and we are still starting to make our way into the enemy settlement, slowly whittling down individual isolated units while the biggest portion of our army deals with the biggest threats out here. Alright, still plenty of spawn in the blob, but they're getting in each other's way, which means our Razordons and our Iron Drakes should hopefully be able to take care of them, although probably more so the Iron Drakes than the Razordons. Frankly, the Razordons not super good at this. And they do decent damage, but you really need ideal sort of situations for them to be able to properly fire at everybody, so yeah, there we go. Even a slight bit of elevation change seems to be problematic with them, which is why you maybe generally want to prefer the Salamanders over the Razordons. Anyway, looks like the enemy has moved in with some Flamers of Tzeentch here. But just like the other elites, our Iron Drakes, damn, that was hard to say, are gonna focus them down. Alright, and the spawn, man, this was a lot of spawn, wasn't it? We've been just fighting spawn non-stop for several minutes straight, and they still have more where that came from, though they won't have more of those units of Flamers. I believe this is the only one that they have, so once it's down, they won't be able to burninate us. In fact, once they started firing, we sent our Saurus a little bit further down the ramp where these guys couldn't range them. So if they want to attack our big boys, they're welcome to do so, but those can at least out-heal the damage rather than losing a bunch of models to the Flamers at the same time. Alrighty, down those go, and two units of the spawn remaining. Looks like they're done for, and we're safe to go up the ramp now. Fantastic. Alrighty, how many Saurus did that cause? Bounce power is still very, very slightly in the enemy's favor, but getting there. And this unit of Saurus is definitely badly damaged, but it looks like we still have the HP to make our way up. We do have another unit of Saurus fighting up here, and we're probably going to need to help it a little bit, and we have been trying to make our way through here, but unfortunately, one of our Saurus did get caught by a bunch of enemy units, and the Razordons that were sent to protect them got pretty badly damaged as well. Kind of the same thing happened to us here that we've been doing to the enemy, where we attack isolated units, and, well, nice to get a taste of our own medicine on occasion. Good job, AI. Alright, let's watch the Saurus do a little bit of fighting against the Forsaken and Pink Horrors here, mostly because it's so far been the Iron Drakes, and to a lesser degree, the Razordons show. Not that we haven't seen plenty of Saurus fighting throughout this campaign already, but I, for one, am not yet tired of it. Plus, they're adorable. Alrighty, and it looks like the enemy has brought even more reinforcements in as some Screamers are trying to get into combat, but it looks like there's not enough space for them to actually land because of all the units. This is the way that they look when they attack. They are getting pretty badly beat up doing this, though, unless this was a unit of Screamers that had survived fighting them before. It does look like oh, that one died. It looks like the Saurus can attack them while they're doing this, so I guess this is them attacking. They're just not using that Scream Sonic animation that they normally do. Huh. I think the AI might have gotten screwed over where this Screamer unit can't re-attack? Because I feel like the Saurus unit would have taken more damage if they had been attacking as well. Oh, it's probably also taking damage from its own Pink Horrors at the same time. Though, sadly, the Saurus unit will probably not be able to hold for long. In the meantime, we've been making our way slowly up this ramp, catching any, once again, isolated units with our big boys leading the charge, keeping each other nice and healthy with all those healing abilities. Looks like a Searing Doom gonna come down on some of our Saurus, and of course it clips our most hurt unit of Saurus, but at least we have a couple of them with full HP remaining, and we can still use them to lead the charge. This Saurus unit, though bravely standing against all those enemies and dishing out some damage. They're sort of spears after all, so they're not going to be as strong against infantry. But they at least held the ground and did some damage, and probably allowed the Amexon Barb to do damage as well. In fact, it's at 117 kills. It's been sitting right behind the unit and dishing out enough damage to use up all of its ammunition. So now all it can do is annoy the enemy by going into melee whenever it can. Not that it necessarily needs to, rather, because we're in the enemy settlement now. A banishment comes down upon the enemy, and the Iron Drakes once more let fly their Trollhammer torpedoes. These things are really getting a workout today. 32k damage, very nice. 27k damage, yeah, it's an Iron Drake kind of day. After this, we should really just give them K or a Spawn Hammer torpedo derivative. Alrighty, ooh, and it looks like these guys want to try to focus down our slants. They'll have the barrier up for a little while, and he's going to launch some bolts of the old ones right back at the enemy. Should be able to knock out a decent amount of pink horrors with bolts of the old ones. There we go, in combination with the Trollhammer torpedoes. And another banishment going to come down onto them as well. Barrier is almost gone, but we're still looking pretty darn good. Just gotta watch out for the enemy focusing down our Trollhammers. There we go. There's that firestorm of Tzeentch coming down and badly hurting at least one of our Iron Drakes. This, I guess, was a bit of a mistake, blobbing up the Iron Drakes in the same place, though it looks like they're still relatively okay. I'm gonna start moving forward now. Our full HP Saurus and our big boys, together with the Slan, leading the charge, while those Trollhammer torpedoes continue to rain overhead, and a little bit of support from the Razordons as well, though once again, they're not doing as much as we'd like. We have charged the Amexon Barb forward now, since it can no longer apply any range damage. It may as well work in melee, and especially if it stays near the two Reeve of Crystals, it should remain relatively healthy. It does have 58 melee defense, which is pretty solid. Do Razordons have... wait, just I want to see something. Do they have melee damage reflection? No, they don't. Really, they don't? Huh. I feel like they should. I feel like to buff up the Razordons, generally speaking, they have exceptional protection. No, but that's from their buff. Yeah, they have expert charge defense. You would think that these giant spiky creatures would have melee damage reflection on them, and just automatically, especially since you're using them in range most of the time. I feel like that's how you make the unit better. Devs, if you're listening. Alright, continue moving forward. Ooh, it looks like the enemy has decided to try to go for our Slan, dropping it down to about half HP, but it's a life Slan, and we've still got heals aplenty. As long as we have mana, as long as our Revive crystals are up, that's not going to work out. It looks like the enemy has also begun to shatter. The enemy Lord is still there, but the bounce power has shifted in our favor, and very few units are remaining. We're also now starting to use our Razordons in melee. Not generally what you'll want to do, because they're incredibly fragile, but on the other hand, pink and blue horrors, especially if they get surrounded by several units of Razordons, they'll just get ripped apart in melee nonetheless, even if it does hurt us as well. Bounce power continues creeping in our favor, and it looks like the chain route is in fact here. The enemy Lord and Cultist, both with full HP, will actually book it on out of there, and I do expect that out of the Tzeentch units. I wouldn't expect them to fight to the last, like a Khornate army. They'll live to fight another day and continue scheming. Anyway, Razordons go in to rip apart the last of the pink cores, finally getting a little bit more use out of them. And with that, the battle ends. Fantastic. I guess we just have to wait a few more seconds while something gets chased down, I assume. Was there another unit fighting over here? Ah, there we go. And a heroic victory. Yeah, well, I'm gonna have to agree on that one, since I didn't know whether we could win it or pull it off, generally speaking. But I think this army performed admirably in this particular mini siege, reverse siege, or whatever. Ooh, alrighty. Well, it was certainly a do-or-die moment, and Coxie here certainly did manage to pull it off. Still took some damage, but a heroic victory is very, very nice, and 2 stacks while a stack and a garrison destroyed. Plus, this was a very good stack, so I am impressed. That said, I still am not a big fan of the Razordons. Yes, they did damage, but I feel like generally, they were just playing inferior compared to the Iron Drakes, and that's with with faction upgrades, which these guys lack, on top of the fact that a decent amount of the damage that they got was afterwards when they were in melee, whereas in range they just didn't really help nearly as much. I'm tempted to replace a few of them with maybe some Stegodons. They're just so fragile. They can't even win melee combat against exalted pink horrors. Yeah, I know that they're exalted pink horrors, but they even struggle against pink horrors in melee. When 2 non-melee combatants clash, and one of them's a big old dino that's like 10 times the size of each individual horror, you would think that the Razordon would win, especially with all the bleeding and stuff they cause, but they're still just so darn fragile. You know, funnily enough, I never liked Razordons when they were originally released because I never found that there was much reason to ever use them over salamanders, and I feel like that still remains true. Yeah, they have more armor piercing, yeah, they're better at single target, but are they so much better that they're worth using over salamanders? I'm not sure. And when we have other answers for single target. But anyway, either way, this is an army built for fun, and not because I think it'll be the most effective army, so we can... do we need more provincial instability here? We are going to trade all of this, but they might rebel by the time we get here. And we didn't take so much damage, so it's just regular occupy. Alright, enemy killed in battle, and... oh, wow, okay. No, I thought we'd heal more, but apparently not so much. I should have looted and occupied, I guess, but we can still move through through this territory to continue. Oh, well, don't collect income, obviously, and we are not going to collect income. Lovely. Now, what else is there to do this turn? Well, first of all, we have to use all of our money because of our materials at sea, and then there is the chameleon question. And that said, this is probably going to be worthy of a cinematic battle, a tier 5 settlement with a tier 4 demonic locust / wall there. So yeah, we're probably going to have to properly fight that as well. Yeah, alright, let's do the buildings then. Let's see, Crater of the Walking Dead, we'll start with you. Oh, it's been a while since we've done anything at the Crater of the Walking Dead. Lovely. Next up, Shifting Sands. Let's go for a Spawn Pools of the Braves, because in some places we are now building some capacity stuff, not just economy stuff. Same with you, Lodestone, gonna upgrade you. Western Jungles, you're up next, and ooh, a max tier Geomantic Locust. That's what I like to see. Next up, we got money, we got Grand Plaza, and we got a Lodestone. At least we got variety here, and I guess we'll go for the Skink Favelas. In Wallatal, it should be a pretty decent money-making province once it's maxed out. Kayaks, we've deleted a thing here, and we can either go for the Spawn Pools of the Braves for more Skink Chief capacity, or we could do another capacity like Dread Saurians and Feral Dread Saurians, which we still don't have a lot of, because we don't have a lot of these Sotek buildings. We still need more Pyramid of Eatsols, but we actually have a decent amount of these. Oh. You know what, let's build the Crimson Pyramid of Sotek. I was thinking maybe we build a Shrine of the Old Ones here as well for the money, but this isn't really a money-making province. It's more of a capacity province, so just keep it as it is. Next up, Broken Teeth. Desolation of Nagash. Also not really a money-making province, but, you know, it is what it is. What do we want to build at the Desolation here? I guess it'll have to be a Grand Plaza. We're actually losing public order here. One of the only provinces where that's happening. Sentinels of Shati, Kroq-Gar Labor District, and gonna have to go with the Grand Plaza / Old One Monument as well for the public order. Creeping Jungle, we'll go for the Insect Breeding Farm. Jungles of Pahwalasha, we'll go for that Mystic Fern Grove. And at tier 3, it does reduce upkeep for Skinks and Chameleon Skinks, which is nice. If nothing else, we should also upgrade Swamp Town while we're here. Astalia, yes to the walls because you're coastal and will always be coastal. Same with you, Energy Dome at Miragliano, though hopefully nobody will get close to Miragliano. If we manage to destroy the Skaven over at Lizard Light once they come back to reclaim their capital, then we should be fine. Another old one monument here at the Pillars of the Unseen Constellations. Headhunters Jungle, let's go for the Monument of Thunder to max to tier 4. Well, not max, but to upgrade to tier 4 if nothing else. Holy Ziggurat, let's get metal there. Gotta get that extra iron from that, and then we gotta go for the Geomantic Pylon and the old one monument here. Although Ayamara Swamps, with being a 2-settlement location, will probably become a military hub as well. Ooh, lots of public order loss in several places. Interesting. I guess, we do still have the Xhotl Confederation debuff, so, you know, it does make sense. I also did still want to build a Horned One slash Cavalry army. Wait. We can recruit them at Subaton as well. We could send you, for example, to Mackenzie over to Subaton to start recruiting them. And then, you know what? I like this idea. Let's do this. Are you a recruiter, by the way? You are not a recruiter, but we can make you into a recruiter, especially considering you have Musterer. I don't really care about the hero recruit rank at the current time. Still something to be aware of. You're gonna move here to Mackenzie, like so. And then from Subaton, or actually directly from Oishel, doesn't really matter where, you can start recruiting cavalry. And then they'll be relatively close to the sea lane to send to Cathay, as we'll be wanting to do that. Anyway, what other buildings do we have available to build this turn? Let's see. Lost Valley, you're up next. Oh, Subaton. I was just looking at you, Subaton. My bad. Let's go Sking Favelas there for more money. Ivory Road, yes to Carrick-Crackatan, and it looks like we will not be needing any more growth buildings here, or in fact, we will need no growth buildings whatsoever, so we'll just keep building money buildings. Southern Wastes, the Sinhall Monolith. Well, we're probably not going to bother keeping this, as in we're probably going to trade it away, so I'm not going to bother upgrading anything, with the exception of possible tusks, just for a little bit of extra worth and trading, but also worth to our allies if we trade them. As for the Maw-Gate, I may keep this, but I may also just trade it away. I'm not sure whether it's worth our time to bother, considering how long it'll take to upgrade everything, but at the very least we can let these upgrade to the next level so that they're worth more once we trade them to our allies. A Godless Crater, you will also want to get another capacity building of some sort. Ooh, no, you're going to want a Geomantic Pylon. We will keep the Godless Crater since it's Xhotl's home, even if I don't particularly care about it. Yeah. And we'll build the Sking Favelas here. Even though I don't imagine it's going to be generating a crazy amount of money, because we're not going to invest crazily into it. And there we go. All the buildings have been built, and we even have some money left over. Funnily enough, if we... Oh, no. We're nearly able to pop a Rite of Primeval Glory, but actually, that's an interesting question. I mean, I don't really care about the army, the Dino army that it gives us, but if we pop it, we will have the Feral Cold One's ability for all armies for 20 turns, so during the entire endgame. The problem with this is the Rite of Sotek, which we've been saving specifically to be used during the endgame invasion. Granted, it'll only be 2 extra turns. I mean, we could get a little tiny amount of money back and pop the Rite of Primeval Glory, and then, with the exception of the 2-turn disparity, we'd have access to both of these rights during a decent amount of the endgame scenario. That is tempting. The spawn of the extra army is probably also going to cost us a lot of money, however, but it would also spawn here, which is relatively useless to us. I guess we could send them down to help with all of this, because Coxey here is probably not going to be able to take Occam's Forever Maze, especially without a without any big boys to break through the gate and stuff. Well, you guys let me know what you think. How about that? I'm gonna call it here. You guys let me know what you think about keeping the rights on hold until the endgame scenario pops, and popping the right of Sotek to instantly buff all of our skinks by 25%, our ambush, and our attrition to enemies in our territory, or pop the right of Primeval Glory now and then give this 2 turns into the endgame scenario to pop it. I'd love to know your thoughts. Otherwise, next time we will probably attack with Chameleon at Torque. Hopefully take it, trade it to our allies in the form of Ivresse, and then just keep Chameleon out here until he gets his healing crystals from all the way down here and Recruiter Lock. Gonna take a while. Oh, and we got the Feral Trogs as well coming in for Xhotl, who loves himself some Trogs. Anyway, more Kroq-Gar to come. Don't forget to leave those likes and comments, especially if you want to see this keep on getting updated on the reasonably regular. All glory to the algorithm, and thanks for watching.